Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Caw. I'm delighted to be joined by a trio from Ibrox today, Michael Gannon, Andy Newport and Scott McDermott. Guys, how's it going?
Hey, Daniel.
Very well. Yeah, not too bad. We're still awake, despite the efforts of both teams trying to have him right.
Well, we'll get stuck in. We'll get stuck into the game in a wee minute, guys. Right?
Where's the Invisible Man next to you?
Sorry?
Where's the Invisible Man sitting next to you?
Well, just on that, Mick, Keith Jackson is back his holidays. We've had a wee bit of a mix-up, though. Take a look. Honestly, where is he? Keith, are you there? We need to talk about the show.
2 seconds. Within 2 seconds, Dan, just get a cup of tea.
Leaving it.
What's up, man?
You look different.
Well, I'm just back from holiday, Daniel. I've got a suntan. Everybody looks different with a suntan, mate. What's the point? What is that? And by the way, different better. Everybody, it's a scientific fact. Everybody looks better with a suntan.
I'm not sure it's the tan.
What are you talking about?
It's had a big effect on you this holiday.
I come back feeling like a different man, Dan. 2 weeks in Spain, honestly, total sorted, mate. I'm now the boss. Final boss.
Right.
What? You think it's too much?
No, I think you look great. Absolutely beautiful.
Right, so we're good for the show later. What do we need to talk about?
We're all set.
All right, okay. Right, well, catch you later, man.
There you go, guys. Andy, you look like you enjoyed that.
Speechless, boys. I really am.
There's the man there. The final boss is in the room.
Right, lads.
Did he say you've been to Spain? I thought you'd been to Turkey with that barnet and the teeth there, Keith.
Look, in the comments, Marzuno says, I thought that was Russell Martin. Hoopsaholic says you look one of Harry Enfield's Scousers. So, and the chain looks good, eh?
Can't I keep the chain?
No.
Fine.
Anne says it freaked her out. Guys, shall we move on to the football? Although there's not much to talk about.
That was worse than the game.
And that's impressive.
Listen, I was trying to put a little bit of entertainment, seeing as how these two teams never managed to produce any.
Jacko, me and you are going to Copenhagen during the week. You better not dare bring that vest with you.
Scotty, that's been my outfit since I got back off the plane yesterday afternoon.
Guys, on the football, Mark writes in saying, guess it was 0-0. The worst derby game you've seen in 50 plus years. Is he going over the top, or is that fair enough?
It's right up there. I can't remember too many more derbies that were so lacking in incident and entertainment and quality. It was the poor stuff. Brendan Rodgers just came into presser after the game, and that was literally the first thing he said was, it's a pretty rotten watch.
We got that right.
It just, do you know, I think it just looked like a game that it was an awkward game for both teams. It was an awkward timing. They both could have done without it, and a draw probably suits both of them. It's almost like, right, we'll take a point each and we'll say no more about it. Let's get out of here. I just felt that.
Exactly that. Do you know what, Mick? I was watching it and I'm thinking these two teams look terrified of the fixture. They look terrified of it. Terrified of what defeat might bring about at the end of it. And I actually don't think a draw. Fine for Celtic, I guess. You get out of town, no harm done, really. A draw's not good enough for Rangers. It's not good enough for Russell Martin. And a draw is certainly not going to appease the Celtic fans who are now sitting, counting down the hours to the transfer window closes tomorrow. And they are expecting big time. So I think, I hear what you're saying, that a draw, not the worst result for either side. I don't think it's a good result for either of them. And I think the manner of the performance will just, I think, further incense both sets of supporters.
Look, it probably lived up to the billing before it. We all thought it was two pretty poor teams given the kind of European exits during the week. So I don't think it was any great surprise that it was scrappy. I mean, I couldn't see for the life of me Rangers keeping a clean sheet. So I'm astonished that defence has somehow managed to no concede a goal. But
that's because the Celtic attack is
so
totally
toothless.
disconnected. There's nothing there.
Exactly. And after the game, we were just talking there. It was interesting, the press conferences. Brendan Rodgers came in, looked kind of disgusted at just how bad the game was. But Russell Martin is probably actually delighted, that his team showed a bit of fight, and a bit of scrapping, and a bit of battling. And there was a real kind of contrast there. But overall, I mean, none of them can really be pleased with the level of performance. It was so poor at times.
And it's like Russell Martin, he's come in with this big, bold vision of how he wants to play the game. He wants his defence to take risk. He wants to open up space. He wants to create chances. Well, we've seen little sign of that. But really, he's went back and he's done a lot today. He's put an extra holding midfield player in there in the midfield, just try to stiffen up anything he can, just to try and plug the gaps through which Bruges pulled it in midweek. And in terms of attacking, it just came down to long throws and set pieces. That was seemed to be Rangers' plan, was just to get themselves up the pitch, win a free kick, knock the ball out for a throw in, and just get Tavernier just to launch a long throw into the box. So all round, I mean, Rangers Russell Martin probably got the result that he was desperate for, just something just to get him through the international break without another round of protests and fury and anger from the Rangers support.
Is he kidding himself on though, guys? I mean, I don't think that performance buys him anything. I don't think it turns the corner for him. I don't think it'll buy him any goodwill with the supporters. I think if anything, they'll be looking at that going, it's even yet more further evidence that this guy isn't capable of moving their team in the right direction.
I think it dampens a bit, and it wasn't an outright disaster.
Yeah, there's not a protest tomorrow morning.
But whether it wins over any of his critics, no chance. I mean, as you say, this is a Rangers team that are 4 games into the season have scored 1 goal from open play. Okay, that's a 4th draw, but it's at the worst start since 1983. Nobody's under any illusions that he's not under pressure, but I don't think it has. It's not going to be. I don't think they're going to be frothing at the mouth again.
But whether the fans like it or no, I mean, he's come in afterwards and told us about how Andrew Kavanagh was at the training ground yesterday, spoke to all the players, addressed them, told them that we're sticking to the plan, fully supportive of the manager. So, I mean, I suppose at this stage, I'm not saying he's safe long term, far from it, but I think the fans are going to suck it up for a wee bit yet, because at the moment it looks as if the board and the new American owners are sticking with it, and the manager's hanging in there.
Well, I thought 2 things from the game and the crowd reaction today really interesting. One, about halfway through the first half, the loudest I heard the Rangers fans singing all day was when they were singing the Nico Raskin song, and the second, they were jeering the team off the pitch, but the volume dialed up when the manager went down the tunnel. Yeah, and I think that's really telling.
Well, that's funny, because I asked Russell Martin after the game about those chants, and I asked him outright, as Nico Raskin played his last game for the club, is that a fair assumption? And he said he didn't hear the chants, so he was obviously getting his mind elsewhere, but certainly not giving any promises that we're going to see Nico Raskin again in a Rangers jersey. Looks like, if the rumours to be believed, he's been told his time in the club is up. They're going to try and look to get him moved on, whether it be a loan or an obligation to buy or just a straight transfer fee. It looks like Russell Martin has decided that he can do without Nico Raskin, which is majorly surprising to me, given just how central Raskin was to a few things that Rangers did well last season, but he was the main driving force of that. So it's a huge gamble, because if you're going to talk about a popularity contest, right now there's only one winner with the Rangers support, and it's not Martin.
You just described it there, Andy, as a major surprise. I'm describing it as an act of madness, because if Nico Raskin's on that pitch today, I think Rangers' chances of getting a win are greatly enhanced. I also think Connor Barnes not had a sniff. Diomandi's been left out. Tavernier's been left out. They were the guys that actually came into the team and made it better today, as much as Rangers improved, which was minimal, but these guys made it better. And I'm not sure that the signings that Russell Martin have made with, by the way, Kevin Thelwell and Greta Steinson, who have to share the culpability in all of this, these signings don't appear to have made the team better. Raskin would have made that team better, and the ones that did come back in from the cold today, they did make it better.
He's going to need to come out and tell us at some point, Jacko, what the deal is with Raskin, why he can't fit into the Rangers squad. I mean, he's obviously been vague and tried to play his cards close to his chest the last couple of days, but I think once Raskin goes, he'll need to come out and explain exactly what was wrong with Nico Raskin's attitude behind the scenes that he couldn't manage or didn't want to manage. And I think the worry is going into the last day of the window. Clubs who are looking at Nico Raskin now, they know that his time at Rangers is up. I mean, Martin
knocked down price again. Yep.
The decrease in value, I think, is going to be huge. I think last season when Nico Raskin was at his best, people were talking about, this season, going into a World Cup year, Rangers could eventually go and get in the region of 15 million from it. I don't think you're going to get anywhere near that in the last day of the window for a guy that everyone on the outside knows has got no future at Rangers. So, yet again, it just feels like bad management in that regard, because they're going to get less for him than they probably should have.
I mean, all we were told when Russell Martin came in, remember the interview with Joe Rothfield did before he signed for the club, and the big thing he talked was Russell Martin's man management. Well, now here we are, a month into the season, and the clubs, you would say, their two biggest assets in the summer have now basically been forced out, or in the process of being forced out, having had some kind of standoff with the manager. I mean, that has got to be concerning in itself.
But listen, just playing devil's advocate, guys. 12 months ago, Raskin wasn't in the team under Cologne either. And he looked as though he's the way out. So if the player is clearly has got issues, by the way. I mean, you talked. Neil McCann mentioned it. Barry Ferguson talked about it as well. The guy he does have a bad opinion all the time. He isn't a great guy to follow instructions. So if Russell Martin is entitled to think, you know what, you're too much hassle, off you pop.
Mike, I've actually...
There's a bit of that as well.
I don't disagree. I've not got an issue with Nico Raskin being sold on, or a new manager coming in and deciding he's no part of my plans. But two things. One is how you do it and how you get rid of him. Because I think I'm now going to get
it's now too late.
A standoff. And also, that's fine getting rid of people, but the guys you signed need to be better.
Yeah.
So far, the guys that you signed aren't better. He brought Joe Rothfield in to essentially replace Raskin or play in that position. And yet he's had to put him on the bench today and rely on Connor Barron.
Yeah. No, that's not. I take that.
Rothfield's been so bad.
But like you're saying, you're right. He's a guy that needs to be managed, because there's now 3 sets of management teams at Rangers who've had issues with him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's clearly a handful of a guy to deal with.
It's one. It's Alex Ferguson one. If you're talking about your top talent, you give them a wee bit more leeway. You give them a wee bit more.
Yeah, but listen, this is not Eric Cantona. This is Nico Raskin. I mean, I know, but again, it's not Eric Cantona.
So, but what I'm saying is, if Rangers get enough good players that they can afford to be chucking out good ones like him,
no,
I don't think they do.
I take the point, but
and especially not if you're going to then end up selling them at a discounted price.
No, I'm just playing devil's advocate. There isn't obviously clearly issues with the guy.
It's fine selling him for a big profit. That was always going to be the plan we're asking. But you need to sign the next one coming in. The guy coming in to replace him's going to be as good, if no better. And that, touching on what Jackal said, I think that is a big worry for Rangers. The recruitment, so the 10 players that they've brought in, I think it's 10 signings now. I think you're looking at 1 or 2 of them look good enough for Rangers. And that is going to be a major issue going forward.
Before I let you go up the road, guys, we've got a couple of comments. If you want to get involved at home, by the way, please do so. John says, did the guys think Rangers would have won the match today had Raskin been playing?
I think their chances of doing that would have been greatly enhanced.
What do you guys think?
They'd have been enhanced, but I wouldn't say aye for definite.
I still think Rangers are short at the front end, the top end of the pitch, like Celtic. There's the quality that's on show from the wingers. Majowski comes in and looked okay, but so little service. I don't think you could say that one player in the centre of midfield is going to make that kind of difference. I think it's at the top end of the pitch where Rangers really need to make big strides now.
I think Raskin showed last season when Barry Ferguson moved him 30 yards further up the pitch that he could contribute in the final third, whether it was assists or goals. And I think if he was playing in the position that Thelo Asgard was playing in today, I think Rangers would have got more out of him.
I think today was more about Celtic's deficiencies than Rangers' progress. I think Celtic were so lacking in the final third. Listen, by the way, having travelled 8,000 miles in the last 10 days and not seen a goal through that, dragged back into the Kyra Armati zone today. Watching Celtic, I mean, by the way, nearly 600 passes in the game a day, barely any of them going forward. I think it was more about Celtic's deficiencies in the final third. I think Celtic, their 2 fullbacks, listen, Rodgers took offence to the suggestions that he played for a draw. I think they were very cautious. Kieran Tierney didn't cross the halfway line. Tony Ralston wasn't really that's his job anyway. It was a containment job until the last half an hour when they realised actually this Rangers defence is actually quite shaky. And as soon as Celtic applied any bit of pressure, Rangers were jittery as hell at the back. I mean, it was panic stage a bit. I still think Rangers had put more of a threat, set pieces and all that stuff. But I think today it was more about Celtic being a little bit too much respect to Rangers at their own patch.
Were you surprised, Mick, that Brendan Rodgers didn't make changes sooner? I was looking at that first half performance. I thought he's guaranteed to try and sharpen up a little bit in the final third for the second half. I was surprised that he took so long to put James Forrest on.
I was a wee bit, and then when Forrest came on, and also I thought, Sinya, I added something. I mean, I don't think he's any great shakes, but he added a bit of kind of energy, a bit of kind of movement that was lacking in the kind of first hour or so. So yeah, I was a wee bit surprised. I mean, obviously you had the Balak Wisher coming in for a debut. I don't think it was great, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't, but I think if he'd done his homework, I mean, he's up against a 33-year-old fullback, and 3 times he cut back inside when he had 30 yards of space behind him, and you're thinking, go on, knock the ball by him and see if he can test him in behind. Didn't do it. We need to find out if that's his game or it just wasn't because he didn't really have the feel for it today. I mean, obviously got a break. It's his debut 24 hours after arriving at the club. Another sign that should have been done 5 months ago. I mean, ridiculous. So Celtic, I think, in all this confusion, it's like we've got a striker who costs £8 million, £9 million, who's currently sitting at Southwaite Services waiting to find out where he's going for the next. I mean, it's all a bit of a kind of shambles around this for Celtic, really.
But here's the thing:
boys get through this and get a point, and we'll deal with what's happening the next day or so.
Here's the thing, Mike, with Adam Eder, right? And I've kind of said my piece on him countless times. I just don't think that he's really applied himself in the manner in which he had to do in order to make himself a successful Celtic striker. I think Celtic have decided to cut their losses. I think it will be a loss, although let's wait and see. But if you're going to sell or let a £9 million striker go, I think you have to be prepared to really throw the kitchen sink at finding a replacement. What are you expecting to happen in the next 24 hours in this transfer window?
What I'm expecting is the usual blind panic, and eventually 4 new players will arrive at Celtic, and it'll cost them way over the odds, which they cost them 3 months ago. The same as always happens at Celtic. This is what happens on an annual basis. It's Rodgers mentioned it the other day. Ange, Postecoglou mentioned the same thing. Lenny mentioned the same thing. It's the last minute scramble to see who's available from fairly big clubs around Europe and England. The guys who are on the fringes of these teams that have been told they can go elsewhere, Celtic try and pick them up. They might cost them 7, 8 million, 10. They might now cost them 10, 11 million because the prices have gone up now. But they'll get 2 or 3 in the door, maybe one on loan as well. But it'll be all dashing around crazy. They'll probably have tried to get someone else in and they'll fail at the last minute. They'll get 2 or 3 in and a fourth won't manage it. They will strengthen up, but it'll cost them more than it would have cost them months ago. So and I know players don't become available till late in the window, right? But you can't wait for those players. You have to go and get players that are available and they can get at a certain price. It was £5 million 3 months ago.
Listen, the whole thing has been horribly mismanaged, but and I completely accept all that, Mike. And probably because of that, they may have to shatter their own record fee, I think, in the next 24 hours. Is that what you're expecting? There will be a player coming in for, higher than £11 million?
I wouldn't be surprised, especially now you're looking at strikers. Strikers cost more money, and everyone knows Celtic need a striker.
Why would you do that for a Europa League campaign and you wouldn't do it for the Champions League?
Because it's not because they need a striker in place that could play in the next campaign. This is the problem that I've got. They should be buying players for playoffs. This playoff last year, they need a striker in January to be in the ground running to play in this playoff. It didn't replace Kyogo in January. It's nearly September, and they're in the last day of the window. It's actually mind-blowing how badly it's been managed. The guy should have been in place in January to get him up to speed. So when they come in the playoff time, they've got the guy to hang their hat on, not chasing the guy that they can hang their hat on. So
completely agree, Mike.
If it's £12 million now, that's fine because in 12 months' time he's probably going to be a better player. So they need to go and cough up and maybe a short-term hit for a long-term gain.
But the question still is, you're doing it the last week of the window. You're winning a Europa League campaign. Why did they not do this?
That's
weeks ago.
That's the question I've been asking. I mean, unfortunately, Celtic don't speak to anyone apart from the manager, and they won't go on the record anyone in a position of power. So you ask the manager, and that's a very question we asked him last week in Almaty. Why has it come to this? And he couldn't really answer it. He just kind of struggling, going. I mean, we need to let. I mean, listen. Listen, by the way, hear the same from Rangers as well. We need to learn lessons. This is not Caledonian University. Do you know what I mean? At some point, they're going to learn that lesson. At some point, they can't keep hearing this about lessons getting learned.
And well, the other topic, transfer-wise, on the other side of the city, looks as if, well, Russell Martin said it, Dessert is gone, isn't he? That's him. Played his last game.
Looks like he'll be gone, and Chermiti will come in for Everton as his replacement. He pretty much confirmed that, didn't he, at the end of the presser?
I mean, that move in itself raises major eyebrows. I mean, £8 million will let you believe that they're playing for a guy who's, barely get a handful of career goals so far. So I think a lot of Rangers fans will be going, we've got £8 million to spend. Wow, that's great. But why are we spending it on a guy who's got so little proven track record? Even that just seems a really odd move. All of a sudden, you're plucking £8 million transfer fees out. That just seems.
I think it's bizarre. I think it's bizarre that Kevin Thelwell's involved in getting Chermiti to Everton for 11-12 million. He's done absolutely nothing at Everton. But now he's a man who's going to take him to Rangers for £8 million. I mean, it's just, if that's the transfer fee and that's what we've been told, I find it incredible. I mean, £8 million could have got you Václav Černý for a start.
Yeah.
Started this window, a guy proven. I know it's a different position, but proven in this league. What was it, 25 goal contributions last season, something like that. So why have waited to this stage again to go and spend big money on a guy, as Andy says, who just isn't proven and looks like a gamble? Honestly, it's just mind-boggling at times.
Maybe a loan with a view to buy, maybe would be a kind of ideal one with that kind of guy. I think he might have something about him. There must be something about him, but it's a loan. Maybe a loan would be more sensible, but I guess it's not available.
Want their money back on. Yeah. So in order to get them, you're going to have to pay this money, which down the road, £8 million is not a big amount of money. Yeah. But it's a massive, massive sum for Rangers to be spending on a guy that nobody knows if he's any good or not and can hack it. And as we've seen this summer, the players that have come in, there is major question marks over the judgment that Rangers are making, the guys that are bringing up, especially if the guys from down south. It's been thought that, again, it's back to this whole question of we'll get guys from down south and we'll think that they can come up here and squish it. And they don't. They find out that the intensity levels here are massive, multiple times more than what they've ever experienced down the road. I mean, you talk about Max Allen's a guy who's played 100 Premier League games almost. He looks like his confidence is absolutely shot. He looks like he has he's absolutely been broken by this first month as a Rangers player. With Joe Roth, the same. I mean, like guy who won a championship with Leeds last year, and yet comes up here and within a month is basically been bombed out the team. Can he hack it? So this is, as I say, I think it's a very questionable move. I mean, I think a lot of Rangers fans, especially when we broke the story yesterday, it was going to be £8 million, and to say that the reaction was, let's say, flabbergasted is an understatement. The Rangers fans couldn't believe what they were seeing when they saw that fee attached to it.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Hotline Live. I'll let you get up the road. Thank you very much, as always, and safe travels.
Cheers.
All right, catch you later, guys.
Thanks.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. We've got comments coming in thick and fast, Keith, from both sides of the divide. If you want to get involved at home, please do so. We'll try and read out your comments. Shall we hear a bit from the managers, though?
Let's do that.
Let's hear what they had to say.
Russell, how do you reflect on that today?
I'm really proud of a lot of the stuff I saw in the fight. Once again, the spirit of the team, the aggression, the desire, all of that stuff. That I think we got questioned on midweek outside, and also questioned ourselves on inside the building. So that was a big focus for us to make sure we put in a performance that showed the guys are together. They want to win, they want to run, they want to fight, and they were brilliant in that sense. I'm disappointed not to win the game. I think the players are as well. But I'm really proud of a lot of the aspects of the performance. And then we just we couldn't quite match the level of desire and aggression, intensity by then calming down when we had a few moments in possession, for sure. Rushed a few things, didn't quite make the most of. Had a lot of territory in the first half, and then late on in the game as well, so we didn't make the most of that. But I think the first thing today was about showing how together they are as a group, and we are, and they certainly did that.
Also, you had a penalty claim early on in the game when Bojan went down, the Liam Scales.
Yeah, I've just seen it again. It's I think the definition of VAR is like clear and obvious and all that stuff, but I think anywhere else on the pitch it probably gets blown first because he gets across in Bojan. So Yeah, but it is what it is.
How do you think he made performance in his debut?
It was great. Yeah, considering he's been in the building for 24 hours, I thought he was fantastic. Energy, took the ball well for us, threatened behind, pressed really, really well. He's a good athlete. He's a good player. He's played at a really good level, and he's at an age now where he's really ready to help us fight and compete, and I think it's a brilliant signing for us.
Russell, there was some chanting for Nico Raskin during the first half. Is it fair to assume he's played his last game for the club?
I didn't hear that, and honestly, I just want to focus on my energy. If anyone asks about any player individually, I'll focus on my energy on the squad today, who I'm really proud of. It's not about me, it's not about Nico, it's not about any individual. So I'm here to talk about the group and the squad we had today, and they were brilliant.
Keith, Russell Martin, he might have got a draw today, obviously avoided defeat, but the comments coming in from Rangers fans aren't convinced. Robert says, get rid of him now, he's absolutely useless, and I'm talking about the Rangers manager.
Head coach,
aye. Ian says, I was taking the draw, but after playing against a very poor Celtic team, 4 draws in 4 games is veering towards a sacking. Worried Life Blues says, Bears need to boycott games and stop buying merch. The board and the 49ers treat the fans like they're idiots. Chris says, at home game for Rangers, no shots on target. It's a better performance. Come on, Andy Newport, what you taught. I should have really put that to Andy. But and Blue Nose John says, Russell Martin is simply lying to us about certain things. So, I mean,
like,
quite a strong reaction.
Do you know what? There's too far gone now. There's too much damage done. Russell Martin clings into that position, clings onto it tonight because he got a point at home at Celtic. In a game where his side couldn't muster a shot to goal. It's gone too far. There's no much point. There's nothing really to be gained for saying that now. I think Russell Martin looks like a guy that knows he's hanging on. He's saying all the right things. He's saying that he's got support from above and all this. And I'm sure that he thinks he probably has. But when you've fallen out with your best player, you've lost another one, as the guy saying, Egerman and Raskin, 2 guys that Rangers would have looked at last season and thought we could earn a right few bob off these two, or they're going to make a huge contribution. Russell Martin actually said, and he said it inadvertently, when talking about previous windows that he's been at, when I think it was at Southampton, he said he had 24 players wanted out. Now, if I'm Russell Martin, I want to be scratching my head a little bit and thinking,
asking why?
24 players wanted out. And now he's got this situation with the guy. I don't think the players buy into his tactics. I don't think they believe in what he believes. I think they think that they're being asked to front up his philosophy and they know it's not going to work. That's what Rangers look like. They look confused and they look frightened today, to be perfectly honest with you, against a Celtic side that didn't look capable of hurting them. I think it's a real mess. I think that Russell Martin remains in the blue corner for the time being, but he's walking the green mile. I think he's gone. And I think Rangers really need to have a self-assessment period. I said, Daniel, what did I say to you before, ages ago, before even the end of last season? Things will get worse for Rangers before they get better under the new owners. I think there is an arrogance in the way that they've gone about what they've done. I think there's this belief that whether it's on the American side or whether it's Kevin Thelwell and Greta Steinson, is that they believe that they're bigger, they know more about it. Everybody told them Russell Martin isn't a good fit for Rangers, but they thought they knew better. So they went ahead and they pressed on anyway, regardless of what anybody else said. What do you know? They know, the Rangers fans know the environment. They know the standards that are required at their football club. And they had genuine, and as we've seen, perfectly valid concerns. But they didn't care because they believed that they knew better. And I think the arrogant part of it is this belief, as the boys were saying there, that if you spent 5 minutes in England, you'll absolutely breeze it up here because Scottish football is so put. They don't have a clue as to the environment, the intensity, the ferocity of this rivalry, and what it means to be a player either at Rangers or at Celtic. Unless you really understand that, then how can you possibly know what it is that you're looking for in a player? The recruitment has been I said when they started off, you can see the strategy. It's going to be really interesting to see now if it works. It's the first window where you've seen Rangers employ a clear strategy in the transfer market. But it is actually reminiscent of the Mark Warburton process where
that didn't go well.
It didn't go well. And the players that are coming in don't look to me like upgrades.
John in the comments says Russell Martin will be gone by Christmas. Do you think he'll be in the dugout for the next derby game?
I think he's one really damaging defeat away from almost being chased out by the fans. And the owners will try and hold firm and all this, but I think the argument is bigger now than Russell Martin. People have decided, made up their own mind. Russell Martin probably suspects himself that it doesn't. His jacket's wobbling all over the place right now. So actually, you can almost kind of look beyond what and start examining what comes next. And I think the big question that Rangers fans will want to ask right now is, Andrew Kavanagh, do you believe in Kevin Thirlwell as your sporting director? Do you believe in Greta Steinson as the guy who's the big influencer from the 49ers? Do you trust him? Do you trust him? Look at the decisions that have been made. Look at the manager that's in, or the head coach that's in place, and look at the signings and assess their contribution. I actually think it's bigger than Russell Martin now. And I think that Andrew Kavanagh has got a really difficult decision to make in terms of if or when they pull the plug on Russell Martin. Do you go back to Kevin Thirlwell? Do you go back to Greta Steinson and say, look, guys, things haven't gone so well, but I'm going to put you in charge of finding the next one? And I see, by the way, the chief executive, Patrick Stewart, has been coming in for a bit of flack that, in terms of Russell Martin's appointment. Patrick Stewart had nothing to do with it. Patrick Stewart was almost neutered, as far as I'm led to believe, in terms of the discussions about, the recruitment process for a new manager. I think he was in the room. I think he was involved in conversations, but ultimately, I don't think he had a say. I think it's Kevin Thirlwell and Greta Steinson are the guys that have made this decision. And I'm tempted to say that I think Patrick Stewart might not have necessarily agreed with it before it was even done. And that's the situation that Rangers are in. And I think that is the fundamental issue moving forward. How is it addressed? Because if you're looking at if you're giving them a report card for the first few months in charge, what are you looking at? 2 out of 10? If that? If that. So if I'm Andrew Kavanagh, I might want to reassess things. And I think one of the things that might help Rangers to move forward is if they ditch this arrogance and realise, do you know what, guys? We don't know it all. Maybe we should be listening to people that know this environment better than us, and getting more of a feel for it, rather than thinking we can just breach in through the door and change everything at the drop of a hat because it's only Scottish football. It's only Rangers.
Sean in the comments says, as a Rangers fan, I will not be going back again to Ibrox with him as manager. Pretty strong. Should we talk about the Celtic though?
Yes.
Before we do that, we're going to have a resident referee, Des Roach, on a little bit later on.
There is one decision that probably needs examined.
Just the one. But before that, let's hear from Brendan Rodgers and hear his post-match comments.
Brendan, how do you reflect on that today?
I thought it was appropriate. I'm brutally honest. Positive for us being, we haven't given away much over the course of pre-season, and today I think we shot against us on targets. So defensively we've been good and solid and lots of endeavour, which is great. But the actual, in terms of our quality in the game, was it's not at the level I'd expect the Celtic team to be. So that was a disappointment. But I felt overall the quality of the game was at a high enough level.
Why do you think the team maybe have been quite blunt today on those 2 legs against Kairat as well?
Because sadly the game is a profile of player. Yeah, I think that it's very clear on that. As I said, we're getting lots of work. Guys are working well and working hard. And sometimes in teams, whenever you don't quite have that feeling within a game that you can score goals, and like we were this period last year, that was plentiful. So the team then goes in with a different energy and a different feeling, which then sparks everything off and brings that energy and that real game attitude that you want. When you're lacking that, then that's sometimes what you get.
So that wasn't the plan. Well, there wasn't a plan to contain. No, it's just the way the game worked. No, that's me.
I don't think you go into a game as a Celtic manager and say, right, pass the ball sideways or backwards. Never been a plan for any offensive team or club. So no, it definitely wasn't a plan. But
how disruptive were your preparations, given all the things in the background, the transfer window and Adam up and down the road and all that stuff? How was it going into this game?
Listen, in terms of all of that, you just have to narrow your focus on what you can control. Of course, it's not been ideal for Adam and for the club, but we still have to look beyond that. I think it's very, very clear what it is we needed and what we need, and hopefully in this next 24 hours we can do that, because like I say, that is it's a hard mode.
Keith, if the Rangers fans weren't happy, the Celtic fans certainly aren't in the comments.
This result and performance of both, I don't think it pleases anybody. I think everybody's eyes were on this game today because of the state that the two of them have got themselves into at the same time. If all eyes were on this potential for it to be an absolute car crash, everybody's ready to rubberneck it. And I think people have just walked away going, what was that? Shrug of the shoulders. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish from both sides. And it'll please or appease no one. Celtic supporters were angry going into it. They'll be every bit as angry tonight. The Rangers fans were angry going into it, and they'll be every bit as angry tonight.
Well, the Celtic fans, I can show you right now, are angry in the comment section. Andy says, I've always supported Rodgers, but I'm wondering if his negative attitude is now sweeping into the players. The team's fallen off a cliff. Why are they so bad? Marzuno says, it's no coincidence we haven't won a derby since Kyogo left. Kansas says, how have Celtic been allowed to fall this far is inexcusable. Too negative, and the manager looked so angry at times. Stephen says, an elite manager in Rodgers against a rookie in Martin. I'm glad this is Brendan's last season. Stephen also says, Dolberg with another striker and a winger in midfield. We are going all the way in Europe. And finally, Danny says, McGregor is becoming a massive problem for us. Everything poor and slow comes through him. So a lot of Celtic fans...
I think that's unreasonable. I don't think Cal McGregor's a great game today.
No.
In fact, you're looking for Cal McGregor really to influence these matches and control the middle of the pitch. I think the first time he really got on the ball was after about 11 minutes. And he tried to find Ralston with a pass and put it right out the pitch. Now, you could look at that and say, well, if it's Alistair Johnson's probably on the front foot and reacting quicker to get further forward. But I just felt that kind of summed up Cal McGregor's day. And there's no a bigger fan of Cal McGregor than me. I love watching him do his work. I think he's a terrific exponent of, the midfield art of controlling the centre of the pitch. But he never got close to doing that today. Maybe Rangers sacrificed Asgard a little bit to take him out of, knock him out of his flow and his stride in there, perhaps. Cal McGregor is the least of Celtic problems right now. I accept I don't think his form has been brilliant at the start of the season, but he will come good. I think Celtic have got bigger issues in other areas of the pitch that need to be resolved. I think if you look at Celtic's performance today, Daniel, I don't know if you'll agree with me. For me, Liam Scales stand out Celtic's best player.
Yeah.
And I think that's a massive issue. If Liam Scales is your best player, what does it tell you? One, that you're defending your box more than you want to do, because that's his strong suit. And two, that your guys in the midfield and further up the pitch in the last third, they're not contributing.
Aye. In the comments, Thomas points out, Keith, Celtic have not conceded a goal yet in the league. We're 6 points clear and we will improve.
I have no doubt about it. But are you happy with that performance?
I don't think there's many happy now. Again, in the comments, Tommy says, let's get Des on.
Okay.
And Tommy asks...
This is Tommy Boards,
Sorry, Tommy. Tommy's wish is our command. The one and only Des Roach. Des, how's it going?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
It's wonderful to have you back. It feels like it's been a long time coming.
It's been a very long summer, but it's been a nice summer. So, but football's back. So let's go.
Well, football, inverted commas. I'm not sure that one today qualifies, Des.
Well, without the referee head on it, I'm watching as a fan, and I've got to say that was absolute dismal.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
But let's get your referee's hat on.
Okay.
I think obviously Don Robertson was the man in charge today. That's just probably. Am I right in saying that's as easy an Old Firm game as you're ever likely to get to officiate?
I wouldn't say that any Old Firm game is easy. Don made it easy because what I'd done in the preamble before the game is Don's known to the players. He's known to both teams. So the players have got a wee bit of, or I would like to think the players have got a bit of respect for him. But what I thought was Don was the calmest guy on the park the whole day.
Yeah.
I thought he, as much as you can say it's easy, I thought he breezed his way through it. So put it this way, nobody's going to be waking up tomorrow talking about Don Robertson. And that's probably the best thing you can get for an Old Firm game.
Well, these comments, Des.
Wrong again, Des.
They
maybe sum up Old Firm fans, because Craig says Don missed a lot today. The number of off-the-ball fouls and Engels was a joke. But Ian comes back saying Robertson was very poor towards Rangers. So, I mean, there's both sides of the coin.
But there obviously is one, I think of all the talking points, you heard Russell Martin getting asked about it there. Rangers believe, rightly or wrongly, that they should have had a penalty kick when Scales clashes with Majowski. What was that, about midway through the first half?
That was never a pen, was it?
That was 7 minutes.
Oh, sorry, it was earlier than that. You're right, Don. Don? Des, sorry. Go on. Enlighten me.
I'm not enlightening you at all. I just think it was a coming together. I think, if anything, Majowski initiated the contact. But listen, football's a contact sport, and these are just it's a coming together. So yeah, I've got no issue with that at all.
Russell Martin says if that happens in any other part of the pitch, i.e. outside the penalty box, it's an automatic foul.
No chance. No chance. Surely.
That's what Russell Martin said.
No, I believe you said it, but no way.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. It's just a coming together.
Yeah, I think that bit sums it up.
Yeah, not all contact equals foul. My own view on it would be, Des, if he'd given it, and in real time I could see that looking like a penalty kick. I don't think it is a penalty kick, but I could see why a referee might give it. And what I'm going to go further than that is VAR wouldn't overturn that.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not, because if they are deemed, well, it was Andrew Dallas who was obviously VAR on today. If he had deemed that Don had got it correct, then it's not a clear and obvious error. So he would have backed it up either way. But I'm very confident and very comfortable with it, the fact that it's not a penalty kick.
A couple of people in the comments asking Des, why was Majowski not booked if it's not a penalty? Do you think he went down a little bit easy?
It's not a dive. It's not a dive at all.
No.
Just one of these things. People are going to come into contact and it's a penalty. It doesn't mean it's an automatic foul or an automatic dive. So no, not at all.
Was there any other real referee talking points? It's actually mad we've come out of an Old Firm game
with nothing to talk about.
And we've managed to last 43 minutes so far. But overall, Des, I said to you before we come on air, I thought he had a pretty good game, Don Robertson. Would you agree with that, Keith?
I felt he did everything that he needed to do. I think he was in control of it. But I'm going to disagree with Des. I think that was an easy game. I don't think there was even proper 50-50 challenges. I think both sets of players looked terrified by the fixture itself. And Don Robertson, as Des quite rightly says, was the one guy in the pitch that had it all under control.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much fair enough.
Keith, would you want to referee that game?
I'd have loved to referee that game. At least it might have put a bit of bite into it.
That's a good laugh.
In fact, I would have worn my new outfit for it as well.
Des, is there any other refereeing points you want to touch on before we let you go?
No, just the game today. I thought, listen, if you're going to have the first Old Firm game of the season, Don was the guy to pick. He's shown why he's the best referee that we've got. I thought his job done. He can go to work tomorrow morning and nobody's going to be talking about him.
Yeah. Tommy in the comments says VAR literally ruined football for a derby. It needs more venom. I actually thought today there was no you couldn't take issue with VAR at all.
No, it was the two sets of players that have provided a wet drip of a derby, wasn't it?
I think that's the best way to sum it up. Des, I'm sorry it's so short and sweet, but it's always wonderful to have you on the Hotline Live.
Bring some controversy next week, Des.
If you could, that'd be great.
That's it. Well, I'll send a couple of texts and see if we can stir some things up.
Nice one. That's what we like, Des.
Right. Okay, guys.
Cheers, Des. Thank you.
Thanks, Des.
Des Roach there. I like having Des on. He's a good guy. But I think that brings us to the end of Sunday's Hotline Live with Record Sport and the final boss, obviously. Thank you so much for all the comments. They've been brilliant as ever.
And by the way, tomorrow, transfer deadline day.
It's a biggie, a big day.
There's going to be there has to be.
Especially for Celtic, you'd have thought.
Well, I felt the way Brendan Rodgers handled himself and the way that he spoke after the game today is either one or two things. One, he was actually, it's brinkmanship. And he's saying to the board, you better deliver. It's absolutely on you. You have 24 hours left. You better not let me down. That is one possibility. The other possibility is he knows fine well what he's getting. And he's, I think, happy and content with it. And potentially, Dan, as we've been saying, he's been let down. I think it doesn't bode well for Brendan Rodgers in terms of, is he going to go and extend this contract? Is he hanging around beyond the end of the season? Everything that's happened up to this point would suggest, no, this is it. He's on the last lap.
Yeah.
Let's see what the next 24 hours bring. Because if Celtic do the sort of business that Brendan Rodgers has been urging them to do all summer, albeit it's too late to save the Champions League thing, but if they show the ambition that he's been asking for, even if it's at the 11th hour, it might be enough to make him reconsider.
Mm-hmm.
It might be enough to get him tooled up properly for the Europa League. I've heard Celtic fans saying, I'm not interested in Europa League, don't care about it. That's rubbish. Were you in Seville? Probably, because I think 4 million Celtic fans were in Seville according to the calculator.
If they get to the knockouts, everyone will
listen. The Europa League is a big, glamorous competition, and if Celtic are properly geared up for it, they've got a good manager, an elite manager. People describe Brendan Rodgers, and I don't doubt that. If he's given the proper tools, Celtic have got a chance to make an impact in the competition, and nobody's going to turn around at the end of the season. If Celtic was to get to a quarter-final, a semi-final, even a final, nobody's going to turn around and say, well, that wasn't progress in Europe. Of course it was.
Yeah.
So there is still an opportunity at the 11th hour for Brendan Rodgers to have his ambition matched and met by the board, and that's a potential game changer. So much on this window.
Yeah.
You've got Dessers almost certainly away at Rangers. Nico Raskin's situation needs to be resolved. Time's running out. Like that's up against the clock as well.
Interesting one.
And Rangers need to bring in new faces as well. So I think you'll actually have. I think tomorrow's going to be a bit mental, actually.
Aye. And we'll be on to cover it all at 6 p.m. our usual time.
Okay.
So we hope you can join us then. Thank you very much for watching, Keith. It's been a pleasure. Good to have you back.
No problem, man.
Thanks for watching at home. I hope you can join us tomorrow. Thanks. Cheers.